We are live. Hello, everybody. It's about a minute to 9 a.m. Just wanted to get a pre-set up here. I want to get my comments to come up on my iPad. So if there's any comments, I can definitely answer them. Welcome to Journey of a Drawing number 2, which is a red dragon. And let's see anything here. Refresh here. And I do see something on my iPad app. Okay. But it's not allowing me to do so. Ooh. Yes. Okay. So now, this is the dragon that I drew on Friday. It is based on 4 easy stages that I use. It's okay. So now, I can hear myself. This is the dragon that I drew on Friday. It is based on 4 easy stages that I use. It's so now, just gonna get rid of the volume here. All right. Technical. And there we go. So 4 easy process steps here. We scribble, smudge, erase, and then start getting into detailing. So at this point, this is a drawing. It's a really good sketch. I could take this into what I'm going to be doing today, which is pen and ink. And then a little bit of what I do on the side of keeping things crisp and refined. So I'm going to jump right in to show you the first way that I actually get this drawing nice and clean. And that's with an electric eraser. It's always surprised the heck out of people. I know the first time I was introduced to an electric eraser, I thought, what the heck? Now, it is based on, I think, architectural design we're using them. And the gentleman that introduced me to it was a fine arts drawing fantasy guy. And of course, I gave it a spin and I have fallen in love with it. So this is a treasure of a drawing tool to have. Believe it or not, this one I've been using since the early 90s. And they still manufacture them. But there are other companies that have come out with a cheaper version I've seen. I have not, well, I've tried one. And, you know, it was exactly what cheap gets you. This guy has to do a lot of work. So I do have some fresh batteries in here. They have these little eraser nibs, which I'll probably be changing out occasionally. But this is how I clean up the drawing. This is where I get it to be more refined. And then I can head towards inking. Alright, so... And this is not based on the idea that I've done anything wrong and I'm correcting. It's just this is information that I just no longer need for my drawing. No mistakes in art. Well, there is, and that is not drawing. So I love playing around with this to the extent of almost taking too much away. but you can see if this will stay in focus. It's kind of, you can still see residue from the drawing. The paper's very rough, so it doesn't all go away. There's a light impression. These little nibs, these little erasers, they run down pretty quickly. So you do have to stop, position it in the little clamp, get it back in there. Does make a lot of eraser files. Now, there's probably questions going on. What am I taking away that I no longer need anymore? How do you make that decision? That decision was predetermined in the second stage where there was all the blocking out. So all these darker areas. So what I'm doing is all those lines and the scribbles and stuff and the smudging and the erasing. In stage 3, it just gets more and more refined. And that's exactly what I want. And there's a lot of just thinking about the top as highlights would be. But if I get an area where I feel like I didn't really need to erase, just smudge with the finger. So let's go along. And the scales are always a neat thing to do. When I was drawing them before, I was using a zig and zagging. Now I'm just going right over the top in the middle, just to give that shine and sparkle of light. And I'm not really not doing all of them across. Matter of fact, just to give the idea that there's this is the top, and it's round. So. Okay. Now I'm gonna do some highlights in the scale armor. And once again, just to give that representation of something being three-dimensional, there's an outline, some scribbles, obviously. And I'm picking this area, which is sort of to the right, and saying, okay, well, this is the highlight. So the light is hitting the dragon's plate armor in his neck. And then we have the horns. Just like my drawing technique where I refer to it being light and feathery, same thing. Hitting the paper, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is making a mark, or with a pencil, or so I'm almost done. And Well, this is feeling pretty doggone good. Yeah. Cross hatching here around the smoke. There we go. All right. So that was the electric eraser. And now we're going to Indie ink. It's a crow quill pen. Also, what's commonly referred to as a steel brush. So it's a metal tip, and this is just the holder. You can get different tips, and all the supplies can be bought at an art store or anywhere that's selling art supplies. These aren't any kind of like special things. So now what I'm going to do is actually start inking, really refining the lines. It's again just using what was already established in the sketching. And this is where cross-hatching really comes into play. Technically speaking, cross-hatching is making lines, a series of them, and then going right back over the top of them. And then by having all these cross-hatched lines, you get some feeling of volume that the object is real. The thing I like the most about this crow quill pen, steel brush, India ink, is the variation of line. When you use like pens, like Sharpie pens, the variation is not really there, which there are some techniques that I want in drawings where I want them not too full of character, but this being a dragon with a lot of character, I definitely want I'm even cross-hatching over the top of pencil lines. So if there's a line somewhere going in one direction, I'll just turn the page and head in another direction and cross-hatch. So, ink lines working with the pencils. It's a great combo. Getting this eye here. It's a very human eye. Probably what helps him have that surly personality in his face. A lot of people use serpent eyes like lizards and snakes. Since dragons can talk, I figured I'd give him a human eye. Alright, let me get up in here. The horn. So, ink's always wet and dries over time, but let's see. Not a mistake. I'm going to use that a little bit later. So, I'm going to head away from, let's see, I get into this here. And you can see there's a lot of wetness there, a lot of ink here. I'm just going to keep going down on this side. Top of his mouth. Now, aesthetically speaking, I don't like straight lines. When I'm working, I'm always looking for sort of broken lines. Lines that have character. So, this whole process here is taking what I've already done in the penciling, drawing part, and now searching for those final lines that are broken and have a lot of character in them. Now this is right here now, a little spontaneity. I don't like all that white. So So too, don't be afraid to work upside down, especially when you don't want your hand smudging. Wet ink. I often hear comments, "Oh, you make it look so easy, Kurt." Well, yeah, it is a little easy, but let me tell you, a lot of practice goes into this. A lot of practice. And with practice comes confidence. With the confidence, take chance and risk, and then you just go with the flow, and you create. think one of the greatest benefits to drawing, just the physical activity of it. It's a very calming and meditative feel to it. And you just get really relaxed, especially in this part. Because everything's pretty much solved, defined. I know I'm definitely going to be drawing a dragon. So, I haven't done this a couple times. I get to play around, experiment a little bit, make lefts where I usually make rights, go north when I should usually go south, just to see what happens. But just being relaxed with it. So, you see there's a little bit of a blurb there. There's a little, and then it's kind of pulled up. And I'm going to literally pat it with my finger. And two things are going to happen. It's going to blot up the ink, which could take a while to dry, but also creates this cool effect from my my fingertip. So I'm going to use that a little later as well. So, drawing tool, finger. And technically speaking, when pooling is happening in my brush, just means I'm tilting it a little too much, so it's leaking out of the reservoir here. But when the ink ends up pooling in areas, I tend to move my brush into it just to kind of pull that extra ink up into other places. Now this is just the beginning of this periscoping for me. Having done the first one on Friday, and I have had many years of teaching as an experience and a joy for it, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. So I've titled this one and the future ones, Journey of a Drawing. So be on the lookout for my journeys with my drawings. And if you're just joining recently, the whole reason I'm doing this is to encourage others to do it as well. Although I have a feeling some people are just joining because they like watching people draw. So that's fine as well. But grab a piece of paper and a pencil right here and now and draw a dragon. Just start drawing. Just scribble. Just scribble. Doesn't have to look like this dragon. Well, you can copy it. It's fine by me. And of course, you've seen many dragons, I'm sure. Movies, comic books, video games. You have your own idea of what a dragon looks like, maybe even should look like. every time I come to a row of scales, kind of play in the shadowed area, just in there, just to create the illusion that they're sitting on something. One another, actually. Once again, you can see that pooling up. I'm not going to do what I did over here with my finger. I'm actually just going to bring it down. Just use the ink. Bring it over. And cross-hatching. Pulled again. It just means my hand's a little heavy. I'm going to show you how you get rid of that pooling in a second. Just let it kind of dry a bit. Also, I'm going to use it to my benefit. And this dragon's benefit. The reason I'm not going to dab it up with my finger and create that technique is I'd have to do it all the way through here, and I think that would be a little too much. And really, all I'm doing, showing you how I'm redefining the lines that I got out of the drawing I did on Friday. And this is the drawing I did on Friday. Okay. Almost done here with the inking. This is definitely going to be the darker part of the dragon. So still got that little drip of ink there. Let it. Oh, that could be the hole in the armor. Not a defeated dragon. Okay, this last row of scales. People really like those. Let's see, do the same thing up here. Feeling a little too much. There we go. Oops. hatching opportunity. This is inside his nostril. Definitely want to get it darker in there. So this is pretty darn good. Doesn't mean I can't come back to it in a little bit. I'm going to show you another technique I have. I'm going to let this dry a little bit. If anybody's watching and they have any questions, go ahead and shout out. All I'm doing is patting up the excess. That too will give a little effect. There we go. Back it up just a little bit. And if you weren't here on Friday, and this was the dragon we were working on. It's an instructional workbook that I created a few years back that I'm bringing back. So we spent Friday drawing a dragon, today inking the dragon. Alright, so that was India ink with a crow quill pen, also referred to as a steel brush. And now we're going to head into some white. See if you can recognize this sound. Paint marker. White. White paint marker. And there we go. So, still drawing. Now, this is the part where I always refer to as calming the lines down. So this is really getting in, making those last decisions, you know, and I end up doing a lot of this, which is just the same as I was doing in this dark area down there. Just using my finger, patting it out. So the areas don't have to be that sharp, especially in things like smoke. This is very much drawing to me. This is all drawing. There we go. Cross hatching, white lines on top of the ink lines. I used to do a lot of dabbing. Polka dotting. I guess that's a technical term. And a lot of times it's just breaking up my line. That's what I'm doing. I've often heard people refer to my inking as ink painting. And that's cool by me. I would definitely go with ink drawing. Dab in the eye. And it's just like a paint can, paint markers are. Gets that paint going. this area here where I had the ink blot up, then I used it to create this finger tipping little technique, grains of my fingertips, fingerprint. I'm now going to bring back the hairs on his chinny chin chin. And I can, believe it or not, I can still see the underlining that I did, not only in the inking, but when I was doing the drawing as well. And lightly pat. Bam. Now, technically speaking, the reason I moved that way through the plates on his armor is this side here is the darker side, and then over here is the lighter side, but when they meet, the darkest and the lightest are going to come together. So I'm just starting at the lightest part and moving away just to give that look, appearance that it's three-dimensional. There we go. And over to the scales. So as much as this is about highlighting, just to repeat, it's also just getting rid of information that I no longer need in order to describe this dragon. Sometimes I even use that really gets everywhere. So, this looks like I'm coming to an end as demonstrations go. I can see that there's some areas that I'm going to come in and just really fine-tune them. I don't think I've really given a lot of love to the background, so I need to think about what I'm going to do with the background. So, I am definitely going to post this around. So everybody can see the final product. On my website, I do a newsletter every Monday night, and I'm definitely going to talk about Friday's experience and today's experience. So cool. Yes, thank you. All right, and I'm having a hard time stopping you, though, to be honest with you. Really in love with this dragon. And like I said, I just really didn't give a lot of love to the background. So right now, I'm trying to make some things happen with some cross-hatching of a white paint marker. Just to give it some textural love. Okay, so this is looking pretty darn close to being completed. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer them. So I just noticed that a couple people have joined in the last minute or two. We are coming to a conclusion here. This is Drawing a Dragon, Journey of a Drawing number 2. I am already anticipating doing another demonstration with this dragon on Tuesday, is what I've been thinking. One of the questions I've been looking and searching for answers on is, when's a good time to do a periscope? Someone said in a forum yesterday that no matter where in the world, do your periscope either at 9 in the morning or 5 in the evening. So, hence why I chose today to be 9 in the morning. And I'm also a morning person, so kind of works for me. All right, well, I'm going to call this one complete. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I had a great time. This is a really good time. You should totally do something. Ooh, hot press arches paper. I'm getting a comment on. Yeah, actually I haven't used that. I used to use illustration board a lot. Hot press is definitely a slicker surface. I like the fine tooth, but I like also gruffing it up, like letting things get a little agitated and then having to kind of work with those areas. But yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. With that being said, let's see, this Tuesday coming up, 9 in the morning, Eastern time, I'm going to be coloring a red dragon. Now, this is a red dragon I did probably about a month ago. I used Prismacolor pencils. It was a printout, and then there's actually a little how-to workbook to follow on it. But I am going to be doing this one in color, which is a line drawing of the dragon printed out on Strathmore tan-toned paper. So with that being said, if you have any questions, like to stay in touch with me, I am Kurt Brugel. You can reach me there at kurtbrugel.com. Of course, you can also use Kurt Brugel in a Google search engine. You find all kinds of places, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and stuff and such. But the reason I've done this tutorial is to encourage others to do drawing. All right, so yes, I do. It's actually Kurt Brugel, DeviantArt. Where does it go? DeviantArt.com/Kurt Brugel. Yes, I do. I'm actually working with some groups over there. So, okay. So when and if and how you do your drawings, just draw, please. And tag me in the drawing. So I do searches in the hashtag, which is Kurt Brugel Draws. If you happen to draw something, I'd be more than happy to see it and also make comments on it. Once again, wow, this has been a great experience. Really excited. Going to do a whole lot more. And thank you so much for joining me. And we'll see you Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you.